Hi everyone, and welcome to Sweetpea Sid's Inspirations. My name is Sydney, and today we are going to be working on the Screaming from the Rooftops beanie. It is fairly quick, fairly simple to make. So some stitches that you are going to need to know how to do in today's tutorial is, let's start off with the brim. We are going to be using some front post double crochets down here, along with regular double crochets. And then once we move into the body, there is going to be a 2-row repeat that consists of single crochet, and then also we are going to be doing a single crochet 3 together. I will be showing you how to do that in today's tutorial, along with some chain stitches, of course. And then once we have moved to the crown, we are going to be using some half double crochets and then half double crochets together. Now, if you need any more further assistance on some of those stitches, you are going to have to refer to a different tutorial, because I will not be going through exactly how to do each stitch, just the single crochet 3 together. Now let's go over some materials real quick of what we are going to need. So to start off, we are going to need a crochet hook, of course. I am using a 5mm hook. You may need a stitch marker, along with some yarn, of course. Now the brim, I did use some mainstay in the color black. The thing with mainstay that I have noticed is it does stretch out a little bit, so do be mindful of that. And then for the body and the crown, I use some Red Heart Super Saver in the color Claret. And then you're going to need some scissors, tapestry needle, and also possibly break out a handy dandy measuring tape, because we are about to do some measurements. The circumference of the hat is going to be about 21 inches, and how I calculated that was I measured one side of the brim, which is roughly about 10.5 inches. So the circumference, you'll times that by 2, which will give you 21 inches. And then how I measured the hat was I measured from the brim all the way up to the crown, which is about 7 3/4 of an inch. So that is the measurements for the hat. And if you are ready, I believe that is all the information I do need to give you. If I need to give you any more information, I'll try to put that throughout this tutorial. But we will go ahead and start off by chaining a total of 64 stitches plus 1. Once you have your 64 plus 1 chain, we're going to go ahead and connect the 2 ends, making a big loop here. Now, the main thing with this is you want to make sure that your chains are not twisted, and that if you were to stretch them out, they are going to be completely parallel. So once you have that situated, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch the 2 ends together. Now that extra chain stitch is going to act as a slip stitch, so we will not be working into this stitch right here. We will work into the next stitch. So now we are going to go ahead and start our brim with a chain of 3. And before we start working on the front post and double crochets, making our ribbing, we do have to make a setup row. So we're going to go ahead and place a double crochet in each of our stitches. So once you have made it to the end, you should have a total of 64 double crochets. Again, we are wanting to place a double crochet into each of our stitches. And again, the main thing to look out is to making sure that your chains or your stitches are not twisted. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row up, and then I will meet you back around where we will start on our ribbing. Now that you have all 64 double crochets in each of your chain stitches, we are going to now work on the 2x2 ribbing. So this chain 3 here does not count as a stitch, but we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that space. And I'm going to start off with the chainless start or invisible chain by just pulling up a loop here a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and place a stitch marker into that space. Now you can also do a chain 2 if you would like, but I like doing this way because it kind of hides the seam. So now we are going to start on our brim, and the repeat unit is going to be in the first 2 stitches. We are going to place a front post double crochet, and then in the next 2 stitches we are going to place a regular double crochet. And that's the repeat unit. So I'll work that with you a few more times. So into the next 2 posts, we are going to place a front post double crochet. And then the next 2, we are going to place a regular double crochet. I'll work that with you one more time. Again, in the next 2 stitches, we're going to place a front post double crochet. And then in the next 2, we are going to place a regular double crochet. Go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it back around. Once you have made it back around, you should have left off with 2 regular double crochets into the last 2 stitches. And now for the next 2 rows, we're going to repeat what we just did. So I will do one more row with you, and then I'll leave the second row up to you. So we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into either that chain 2 that you made or that invisible chain, whichever you made. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that space. And then I'm going to create either a chain 2 or my invisible chain, whichever. I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker so I know exactly where to slip stitch into. And now into the first 2 front post stitches, we're going to place front post stitches into those 2. And then into our 2 regular double crochets, we're going to place 2 regular double crochets. And then we're going to place front post double crochet into the 2 front post double crochet, and then double crochet into the 2 regular double crochet. So again, we're just going to go ahead and continue repeating that until we have made it back around. So one more time, front post double crochet into the 2 front posts, and then double crochet into the 2 double crochets. Go ahead and continue repeating that for the remainder of this row and one more row, and I will meet you once I have gotten both of these rows completed. You should now have 3 rows of the 2x2 ribbing plus that setup row. Now we are going to work on the body, but first we have got to change our color. So I have made a slip stitch for my new color. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into where I need to slip stitch in. Either that's the chainless start or your chain of 2. I'm going to place my slip knot or my slip knot onto my hook, and then I'm going to pull a loop through that slip knot and my old color. So that is how I like to change my colors. I need to remove my stitch marker here. And now we are going to work on the body, which is going to be a 2-row repeat. And we're going to do this for a total of about 13 times, depending on how big you want your body. You can do a little bit more rows if you need to, or a little bit less rows. That is completely up to you. But we're going to do the 2-row repeat for a total of 13 times. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my loop up here to where it measures to be about a chain 1. Or you can go ahead and chain 1, whichever you prefer. And then now we're going to go ahead and place a single crochet into each of our stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and you should have a total of 64 single crochets. And this is going to be the first row repeat. So go ahead and place a single crochet into each of your stitches. And again, you should have a total of 64 single crochets. Once you have made it back around, again, you should have a total of 64 single crochets. So now we will start working on the second row repeat by inserting our hook into that chain 1 from the previous row and making a slip stitch. And then we are going to chain 2, which is going to count as a single crochet and a chain 1. Now for the repeat unit consists of 3 single crochets together and a chain 1. So we are going to go into this very first stitch, and we're going to insert our hook as if we were to make a single crochet. We're going to draw up a loop to where there is now 2 loops on your hook. We're not going to pull through these 2 loops. We're going to go into the next stitch, and we're going to do the same thing. So insert your hook into that next stitch and draw up a loop. So now there's 3 loops on your hook, and we're going to do that one more time. So go into the next stitch. We're going to draw up a loop to now where there is 4 loops on our hook. And then we are going to pull through all 4 loops. So that is a single crochet 3 together, and then we are going to chain 1. Now what we're going to do this time is we're going to work back into that stitch that we just left off in. So insert your hook into that very last stitch that we worked into, and we're going to draw up a loop where there's 2 loops on our hook. Go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and one more time. Insert your hook into that 3rd stitch and draw up a loop to where there's 4 loops, and then pull through all 4, and then chain 1. So that is going to be our repeat unit. Each time that you go to do that single crochet 3 together, you will always work back into the stitch that you left off in. So once you have that chain 1 made, we're working back into that stitch that we just left off in, and we are going to create a single crochet 3 together in the next 3 stitches, including the one that we just left off in. So go ahead and insert your hook into that stitch, draw up a loop, go to the next stitch, draw up a loop to where there's 3 loops in your hook, and then go into that last stitch, draw up a loop to where there is 4 loops, and pull through all 4. And do not forget that chain 1. So we're going to go ahead and continue repeating that for the remaining of this row, and I will do it with you a few more times. So go back into the stitch that we left off in and go ahead and draw up a loop. Go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and then go into the last stitch and draw up a loop. Pull through all 4, and chain 1. Again, that is a single crochet 3 together, and we're going to do that one more time. So go into the stitch that we left off in, insert your hook, draw up a loop, go into that second stitch, insert your hook and draw up a loop, and into that third stitch, insert your hook, draw up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, and pull through all 4, and don't forget that chain 1. So go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it back around, and I will meet you once I have made it back to that point. Once you have made it back around, you'll have a chain 1 and then 1 extra stitch. In that very last stitch, we are going to place a half double crochet. And then we are going to slip stitch into that chain 1 of the chain 2. And that is from the previous row. So now we're going to start working on the first row repeat again, which is creating a single crochet in each of our stitches. So we're going to start off with a chain of 1. And the very first stitch is going to be this chain 1 here that we made of the chain 2. We're going to create a single crochet into that space. And then into the next space is going to be right next to that single crochet 3 together. So this loop right here, we're going to place a single crochet into that space. And then there's going to be a chain 1 on top of the single crochet 3 together. We're going to place a single crochet also into that space. So again, right next to the single crochet 3 together, there's going to be a loop, and we're going to place a single crochet in there and also into that chain 1 space. And we're going to go ahead and continue repeating that until we have made it back around and should have 64 single crochets. So go ahead and continue placing a single crochet in each of your stitches, and I will meet you back around once I have gotten this row completed. Again, you should have a total of 64 single crochets once you have made it back around. Now we are going to start working on the second row repeat again. So we're going to start off by placing a slip stitch into that chain 1 space that we made at the beginning of the previous row. And then we're going to start off with a chain 2. Again, that counts as a single crochet and then a chain 1. So now in the next 3 stitches, we're going to make a single crochet 3 together, starting off in this first single crochet. Go ahead and insert your hook, yarn over and draw up a loop. Go into the next stitch, insert your hook, draw up a loop, and then into the third stitch, insert your hook and draw up a loop. You should have 4 loops on your hook, and we're going to pull through all 4 loops. And then we're going to chain 1. Once we repeat that again, we are going to always work into the stitch that we left off in. So we're going to create another single crochet 3 together by working into or starting off into that first stitch that we left off in. So go ahead and insert your hook into that stitch, draw up a loop, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and then into that third stitch, draw up a loop to where there is 4 loops on your hook, and pull through all 4. Don't forget that chain 1. And I want to do that with you one more time. So go into the stitch that we left off in, insert your hook and draw up a loop. Go into the next stitch, insert your hook and draw up a loop. And into that last stitch, insert your hook and draw up a loop to where there is 4 loops on your hook. Pull through all 4 and chain 1. So go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it back around. And we're going to go ahead and continue repeating that 2-row repeat until you have a total of 13 rows. Or you can also go by measurements by measuring from the bottom of your brim to your last point, and it should be about 5.5 to 6 inches, closer to 6 inches. I did leave off on the first row repeat, but once you have gotten to that point, we'll go ahead and start working on the decreasing rows. Once you have all 13 rows, we're going to go ahead and start on our decreasing rows. So you'll slip stitch into your either chain 1 or your chainless start, and then you're going to either chain 2 or draw up a loop that's going to be the same height as a chain 2. So we're going to start off by, in the first 6 stitches, we're going to place a half double crochet. And once you have those 6 half double crochets, we're going to now do half double crochet 2 together. So we're going to go ahead and yarn over. We're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to draw up a loop. There's going to be 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull through all 5 loops. So that is going to be our repeat unit, and we're going to do this a total of 8 times. So again, in the next 6 stitches, we are going to go ahead and place a half double crochet. And then once you have those 6 half double crochets, we're going to do half double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, draw up a loop, to now there's 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, to now there's 5 loops on your hook, and pull through all 5. Again, we're going to repeat that. So the next 6 stitches, place a half double crochet. And once you have those 6 half double crochets, we're going to do a half double 2 together. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, draw up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, draw up a loop, 5 stitches on your hook, and pull through all 5. You're going to go ahead and continue that repeat unit until you have made it all the way to the end, and then we'll do another decreasing row together. You should have now in total 56 stitches. Now we're going to do another decreasing row, so go ahead and slip stitch into the top of your either chain 2 or your chainless. And in the next 5 stitches, we are going to place a half double crochet. And once you have those 5 half double crochets, we're going to do half double crochet 2 together, and we're going to go ahead and repeat that again for a total of 8 times. So once you have that half double crochet 2 together, in the next 5 stitches, we're going to go ahead and place a half double crochet. And once you have those 5 half double crochets, make a half double crochet 2 together, which is also going to be a decreasing stitch. And one more time. In the next 5 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then make a decrease stitch with a half double crochet 2 together. And you're going to go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it back around. Again, you should decrease at least 8 times. You should now have a total of 48 stitches. Go ahead and slip stitch into your chain stitch. And then now we're going to do another row of decreasing by go ahead and the next 4 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then make a decrease stitch. And that's going to be the repeat unit for this row. In the next 4 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then make a decrease stitch. One more time, place a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And then a decrease stitch. Go ahead and continue repeating this row, and once you have made it to the end, you should have a total of 40 stitches. Again, you should have a total of 40 stitches. If you would like to work ahead, we're going to continue decreasing until we have a total of 24 stitches left. So we're going to do another decreasing row. So we're going to, in the next 3 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then we are going to place a decreasing stitch. That's going to be our repeat unit. So in the next 3 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then once you have those 3 half double crochets, you're going to do a decrease stitch. One more time. In the next 3 stitches, place a half double crochet and then a decrease stitch. And you're going to do that for a total of 8 times. And that should give you a total of 32 stitches. So now we are on our last decreasing row. So we're going to start off by, in the next 2 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then once you have those 2 stitches, we are going to make a decrease stitch. And that's going to be our repeat unit for this row. So in the next 2 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then a decrease stitch. And one more time. In the next 2 stitches, place a half double crochet. And then a decrease stitch. Go ahead and continue repeating that, and then once you have made it to the end of this row, you will have a total of 24 stitches. And then once you are done with that row, you'll just slip stitch it back into your chain and go ahead and cut a decently long tail, and then you're just going to feed that through and thread it on to your tapestry or darning needle. And then what we're going to do is we are going to thread in the back loop only and weaving in and out of that back loop. So what we're doing here is once we have got it to the end, we're going to be cinching our beanie to give it our crown. So we're going to go ahead and continue weaving in and out of that back loop until you have made it all the way. And once you have made it all the way around, you can go ahead and tighten up the top of your beanie. And then I like to go back around a little bit and go through them loops. And this is just giving it some extra security here. And then I like to go from one side to the other. Go from this side to this side. And one more time from front to back. And then you can weave in the rest of your tail however you would like. I usually go a few stitches down and then go a few stitches back up. And then cut my tail. All you have left to do is weave in the loose ends. And that is Screaming from the Rooftop Beanie. I just want to say thank you for joining me today, and I greatly appreciate you hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a like, share, comment, or subscribe. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.